Today, we're going to triple crown Pyro Traveler to see if they can compete with the meta units in Natlan, or was it a waste of over 5 million Mora and many weeks of farming. So first things first, let's check what his build is currently. Yikes, that crit ratio is not good. And why is he on the pipe? Like his Sand is level 16, but to be fair, the good one's on Eonsan right now. Also, this is his talent level, so yeah, we have a lot of work to do here. But let's test him out first to have a baseline to compare to. Okay, so the first test subject is the PMA. I'm just using a standard melt team with Bennett to buff his attack, Sucrose to buff his EM and apply VV, and Candace and Sitlali to apply melt and scroll. That's 47k, no crit, which is pretty good considering we have level 1 talents and a very scuffed build, but there's a lot of room to improve. So firstly, we're going to level him up to see the difference. And of course, I prepared all the EXP books, so we don't have to go farm for any ley lines. Boom, level 90. Do we get a free wish? No, we do not. I don't know if we have all the mats for him or not, but let's get it up to 6. Okay, with the only changes being his levels and his talent being upgraded to 6, let's see how that affects his damage and test it again. Okay, so we're gonna use the exact same rotation for some consistency. And taking a look at his damage, he actually made some decent improvements. It went up to 72k non-crit versus the 40 something k that we had earlier. But that's nowhere close to being good enough. So now we're going to crown his burst and see how that improves his damage. Wait, he uses different materials? Okay. Do I have enough of these? Wait, he only uses one of these? One leveling up from 8 to 9? Okay. Well, I don't know if we have enough. Oh, what? Craftable 53. Let's go craft some. I'm gonna craft that many. Okay. That's the first crown. We haven't unlocked his constellation yet, but we'll do that right after. Okay, we're gonna go back to the PMA right now to see if there's any significant progress. And after cooking up the exact same rotation, oh, 170k crit. We're getting somewhere. And for the first time ever, he actually dealt decent damage. And bear in mind, this is with very scuffed artifact and basically a useless weapon for his damage. So now we're gonna go and unlock his constellation to see how much further we can push this. But how do we unlock his constellations? Let me go look that up real quick.
A few moments later.
Okay, but where do you go? Oh, okay, where do you go? Okay, the statue. Oh, okay. So Google said that I have to go here. And it does look to be the right location. I forgot this guy's name. Zabalanchi? What's his name? I forgot his name.
What?
I don't know who I was referring to at the time. But anyways, we offered those black stones to Capitano and unlocked our constellation. So TLDR, his C1 gives some damage bonus. His C2 will give you some Night Soul if you trigger a pyro reaction. This is needed to maintain his skill uptime. C3 and C5 standard. It just gives you 3 levels for your burst and skill level. C4 just gives you 20% pyro damage bonus. And then finally C6, the big one, because it actually turns him to a main DPS, as his normal and charge attack will be infused with pyro if he's in Night Soul Blessing state, and also it will gain 40% crit damage, which is pretty decent. Alright, so now it's time to crown his other 2 abilities. How am I out of materials again? There we go, second crown. Boom, triple crown, the second ever in my account. With the only other one being this guy. I've been neglecting him a lot lately, so maybe I'll make a video on him, trying to get top 1% or something. Why is he on 5-piece scroll? Anyways, he needs to get off a 5-piece scroll. We're gonna use Obsidian Codex. Most likely, we're gonna just steal Mavuika's set. Ooh, wait, that's actually pretty good. Hold on. What? That's actually pretty good. Do I have enough? I do. Boom. I think we just straight up steal it. Pyro. Now here's the problem, I don't really have a good crit damage circlet, and Mavuika's using a crit rate circlet right now. So this is the best we got. It doesn't have any crit rate, but he's using Haran, so maybe it's enough?
Nope.
Okay, so it's not looking very good, but maybe we can fix it with a Pyro off piece? Luckily, I got this 40 CV off piece from rerolling. Now his stats is pretty decent, but I want 100% crit rate, so let's find something better. Switching another circlet in does the trick, and now this is his final stats, over 100% crit rate, which is very good. Now that he's finally built, it's time to finally test him properly and see how much damage he does. Wait, he didn't crit! What do you mean? What do you mean he didn't crit? Here I thought that he had 100% crit, so not critting was shocking, but it was probably because he wasn't in Night Soul Blessing state to get the 40% crit rate from Obsidian Codex. After a couple more rotations, we took the PMA to the second phase for lower resistances, and finally got this. 400k? Okay. This is not bad at all, but I feel like there might be issues with Melton because his skill applies Pyro, and his NA does too, so Sitlali alone might not be enough to melt everything. So I feel like a vape team is more practical to take advantage of all the Pyro applications. And our next test subject is the new local legend in Natlan because it has nearly 10 million health and normal resistances to all elements. And also, it doesn't move a lot, so we don't have to worry about missing. The next team that we'll test out is the Shang Yun plunge team to see how good it is. My Shang Yun is C2 here, so it should be a solid team. Okay, so the only thing to be mindful of in this team is to actually use Bennett's skill, burst, and NA in quick succession. Because thanks to his strong application, Pyro will actually become the aura, so we can quickly swirl it with Shang Yun if we quickly switch in. Or if we're too slow, then Farina will overtake the aura. This entire sequence is very inconsistent in practice, so I only pull it off from time to time. But best believe, when it does happen, our damage is immaculate. Oh, that's 200k! Whoa! Whoa! We literally dealt nearly 6 million damage in a single rotation, which is absolutely insane. And after battery in a little bit and heal everyone, we went back to test again to make sure that his damage is actually that insane. Here I didn't manage to swirl Pyro. As I said earlier, it can be very inconsistent to do it, especially on high ping, because it takes even longer for me to switch between characters. As for our burst, we only deal around like 200k, which is around the same that we get from our plunges. And it seems like without the Pyro strat from VV, we only managed around 40% Bronze Locks health, which is around 4 million damage, so it's still respectable damage. In contrast, here's another attempt where I did get the swirl off, and he deals around 250k for the burst and 270k for a plunge. But the bigger problem is that Farina doesn't apply enough hydro for both his skill and plunges to vape at the same time, because Shang Yun also weakened the aura because of her burst, but still we managed around 5 million damage. So safe to say, this team is absolutely insane. So it's time to test how he will fare in the Abyss. And one thing I'll actually do to be more practical is to switch Shang Yun to Fav to make sure the team actually has enough energy. But she still has over 3k attack, so it still should be good. And without further ado, it's time to take on the Abyss. After Skirk swiftly took care of the first half in just over 20 seconds, the first obstacle is some Saurians. And although I tried to stand in the middle, one of them somehow escaped. So the burst radius is actually really small. But the bigger problem is that his skill interrupts with the vape that we get from the plunges, because Farina literally cannot keep up with it. And next up is the clone phase, which Bennett quickly took care of, and we managed to set up everything correctly. Afterwards, I was more careful and plunged more slowly to make sure I was able to vape, and even managed 310k vapes, which is absolutely crazy. And it was enough to take care of the boss in one cycle, or so that was the plan. Hello. In the next attempt, it's now Bennett's turn to die. You're not serious, man. What the? Why? Why are you interrupting my testing, bro? Like, since when do enemies in Abyss actually kill us, man? Anyways, after literally missing every single Saurian, where are they? We're finally back, but Bennett's timing after killing the clones is unfortunate. But we still managed around 240k plunges. Not enough to one cycle the boss, but another one was enough to easily take out the first chamber. No sweat? Now comes the problem of the team, energy. I had to use the book method to battery a little bit, but after 2 Bennett skill and 2 fat procs, it still wasn't enough to get his burst back up. And this is a pretty big issue because his burst actually deals decent damage. But I don't know, maybe in a Shang Yun plunge team, it's not as critical. Anyways, after taking care of the Y-off, we cook up another rotation where we got a 310k burst. So literally our burst deals the same damage as our plunges, but there's very little animation time. So I guess it's still worth using. And now it's time for chamber 3. We quickly took care of the Saurian to deal with this 5.6 million HP boss. Here I'm trying to apply enough Pyro as Bennett for Shang Yun to swirl. However, it doesn't go as planned, so I just aborted the mission and just went with the normal rotation. But then these balls popped up. It just consumes all the hydro application from Farina, so I actually got no vape in this rotation. We managed about half of his HP in a cycle, so that's pretty good considering everything that we did was extremely scuffed. And like always, this guy decides to spin away before we can finish him off. So we need another rotation, and then he's done so. Overall, I think that was a pretty good performance. Although he was wheelchaired by the Farina Shang Yun core, he actually did pretty good in that role, and this is probably his best team that I can come up with on my account. But let's test out a team that's more accessible to everyone, because not everyone has C2 Shang Yun and Farina, so a simple double hydro team with Bennett should be more doable. Those numbers are so trash! Like, what do you mean you only do 20k NA attacks? You're literally crowned. So we dealt like, what, 20% bronze slot? So around 2 million HP. So maybe it's not too bad for a rotation. That's actually pretty good considering it's not a premium team at all. So I guess all the small hits actually add up. Just to make sure, I tested it again and got the same result. But let's see how it fares versus a 1.x character. In the name of Hu Tao, everyone's favorite. The only replacement I did was Lali for Bennett, because Bennett actually doesn't work that well with Hu Tao, so I feel like it's not a fair comparison. And my Hu Tao is on MH, so I think it makes up for it because you only get 1 stack instead of 3. So her crit rate is pretty scuffed. Even then, she still manages like double what Traveler got, so Hu Tao is probably better suited for the double Hydro core. But do note that my Hu Tao's build is actually cracked. She's over top 1%. Maybe I'll make a video on her soon, trying to Akasha max and get a higher rank. Anyways, then I decided to put him on Dendro duty and tested out a Burgeon team. And he's on over 1000 EM, so that's pretty good. And the chosen testing ground is the Deepwood domain, because I can't think of anything else that multiple enemies right now. And he's doing like 32k per proc, which is pretty good because the alternative is Thoma, and he needs a lot of ER to trigger his burst. And if need be, we can actually use Saxdort to get him full uptime on his skill. Then I decided to do some ley lines to recover the millions of Mora that I lost from building him, and also see how he'll fare in overworld. At the beginning of everything, it was going really well, enemies were dying left and right, but then the real problem really hits, because we're getting so much self damage that we actually die too. So yeah, a defensive option for these teams is definitely needed. And now finally, let's test him out on his primary role, which is support on Scroll. I feel like he can still do like 200k HP, and I'm definitely gonna put him on Fav because he actually needs that energy and also provides very good utility for the entire team. And with everything equipped, this is his stats. As for his teams, I feel like the best one is Chaska because he can trigger Scroll and work entirely without NA. I think I'm gonna run the Farina Escoffier core because it's really strong. So let's see what a premium team can do. In this team, Traveler will actually trigger Scroll for himself, Farina, and Escoffier. So in theory, it should be very good. The first attempt didn't go exactly as planned, so we go again. Goose on the loose! Maybe I should have bursted first here for the melt, but oh well, it's still 42k non-melts and non-crit. But wow, this is really crazy because Chaska dealt over 5 million damage in a single rotation. So it's around the same damage as we did with main DPS Traveler. And that's a really good testament to how good the Shang Yun team actually was, because this team is a 5-cost team with 3 5-star units and 2 5-star weapons to compare with the Shang Yun team, which is also 5 cost. So it's actually comparable. Pyro Traveler is a free unit. He's dealing the same amount of damage here. Overall, he's actually really good in all 3 roles, all with pros and cons of course. As a main DPS, he deals very good damage, but in return he has a lot of ER issues. As a Burgeon support, he lacks the uptime without Sack Sword and doesn't fully consolidate the defensive role. But the positive is that he can trigger Burgeon with his skill, so he's not burst reliant, so you don't have to build ER on it. Lastly, as a Scroll support, he deals pretty good damage even on a supportive set and Fav, and gives really good energy for the team, and this is probably his best role. But now, let's honor my second ever triple crown character with some damage showcase. The guinea pig is obviously gonna be Scaramouche. I'm actually gonna use Bennett with Mona to buff his damage even further. After downing him, I just did a normal rotation. Okay, here I gotta make sure that Sitlali applies cryo, but Mona has to go after because of TTDS. I don't know how this is gonna mess with the cryo aura though. Okay, now wait a little bit for the cryo, and now burst. Okay, 720k with no food buff. That's actually decent for a free character. And after redeeming the reward, we actually got this artifact, which might be decent, so I decided to level it up. Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! I have no fodder. It's not gonna be good either way. It's not gonna be good either way. Oh my goodness, what the heck? Hold on. Oh my goodness! What's going on? Let's see. Oh, not too bad still. Oh, I don't have enough. It wasn't any double. Oh my goodness. Well, that's that. Thank you for watching the video. We ended on a high. We can't just end it without actually trying him for the boss that he's actually made for. What is that, 800k? How is he dealing more damage here than when I had Mona in the team? I guess he's really designed to counter this boss. Half of the HP. Wow, that's actually so good. He dealt half of the boss's HP in a single cycle. I actually hate fighting this boss. He just teleports everywhere. He just like zoom in and out of everywhere. And he has so many stall mechanics. And this is one of them, where you have to actually deal Night Soul Align damage. And if you don't have Natlan characters, then good luck getting through these, because I actually have it and my timing doesn't align really well, so I can't even get through the phase correctly. Are you serious, man? This boss is so annoying. This boss is so annoying. I'm gonna try iframe. Now! We got it! Oh my god. We actually got it. Wow, that's crazy. This boss is so annoying. But at least he can hit them from afar. He teleports again. Where are you going? Yeah, so safe to say, the boss is still very annoying. But Traveler makes it a little bit easier. Overall, Traveler is a pretty decent character. So if you have the resources, I would recommend actually building him or her. And that's it for the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.